3.83:1 final drive ratio. The automatic uses a 3.53 final drive, but accounting for each forward speeds ratios, only in first, fifth, and sixth gears is the overall gearing shorter. In second, third, and fourth, where most around-town driving takes place, notably taller overall gearing in the manual model leaves the Cruze feeling breathless when tasked with more than a steady cruise. During our drive through Nashville, we often found ourselves one gear lower than should be necessary, and even moderate grades required a downshift or two to climb smoothly. On several occasions, we even downshifted into first gear at speeds above 10 miles per hour just to avoid lugging the engine in traffic. Drivability issues notwithstanding, it's puzzling that Chevy would saddle the Cruze with such tall gearing through most of the gears, yet leave shorter ratios in both the lowest and highest gears, a move that assuredly has an effect on the manual model's 1 mpg hit on the EPA's city and highway cycles, which are still solid at 29 and 41 mpg, relative to the automatic. Why not blanket the spectrum with sky-high ratios and match the automatic on the EPA test? Of course, the easy workaround for tall gearing is to shift more and to hold lower gears. However, the Cruze's ratios also are widely spaced. So much so that the engine's 177 lb-ft torque peak, on a nice plateau between 2000 and 4000 rpm, doesn't help all that much when the revs fall off hard after part throttle upshifts. The Turbo 4's 153 horsepower don't pick up the phone until 5600 rpm, with power dropping off precipitously after that. The driver's shift point, effectively, is at a 1980s like 5600 rpm, there being no evident payoff in holding onto the 6500 rpm redline. The gap between first and second is particularly wide, with the 1-to-2 shift pancaking engine speed to just over 3000 rpm, where the engine makes about 100 horsepower. So the driver holds down the accelerator and waits for the turbo to start its long, slow march toward the next shift. That's where we did find a compelling, if unorthodox, use for this 900 rpm black hole between the horsepower peak and the redline as a cushion for no-lift shifts. The dearth of power at max RPM softens the driveline shock to almost tolerable levels when holding the accelerator to the floor, clutching in and selecting the next gear, then popping the clutch. Driven this way, which we don't recommend, and acknowledge that few Cruze owners will employ, the engine stays on the boil and doesn't suffer as much lag after upshifts. It feels quicker, but the practice is also more abusive.